There was a time when I'd open my eyes in the morning and immediately feel like something was wrong. No danger in sight, no real crisis, just this crushing weight in my chest and a mind racing at full speed. I hadn't even touched the floor with my feet, but it already felt like the day was against me. If you've ever woken up like that, you know what I mean. Anxiety doesn't wait. It doesn't knock. It just storms in and takes over. I used to think I had no control, that this was just how my brain was wired. I told myself, this is just who I am now. But that wasn't true. It took me years to realize it, but anxiety isn't something you have to surrender to. It's something you can work with if you learn how. And strangely enough, it wasn't some massive revelation or life-altering event that helped me heal. It was something simple, something boring, honestly, something most of us overlook. Daily routines. See, the anxious mind craves control. Not because it wants to dominate, but because it's terrified of the unknown. It clings to certainty, to predictability. And when life gets chaotic or unpredictable, the mind panics because it feels like it's drowning in possibilities it can't prepare for. That's where routines come in. I didn't build mine overnight. I started small. The first thing I changed was how I woke up. No more grabbing my phone. No more diving into emails, social media, or news feeds the second my eyes opened. Instead, I gave myself 10 minutes, 10 sacred, quiet minutes to breathe, stretch, and just be. It felt strange at first, almost pointless. But within a week, I noticed a difference. My mornings weren't war zones anymore. They were something closer to a ritual, something mine. That's when I understood the hidden power of routines. They anchor you. They give your nervous system something steady to hold on to. In a world that's constantly shifting, they become a kind of personal gravity. Next came my morning walk. Nothing intense. Just a slow, deliberate stroll around the block with no goal except movement and presence. I started noticing things, how the light hit the pavement, how birds sounded different depending on the season, how my breath deepened when I wasn't rushing. That walk became sacred. It became the first time each day when I felt like I was inside my body, not just trapped in my thoughts. And here's something I learned from the Stoics, especially Marcus Aurelius. He wrote about the importance of returning to ourselves, of focusing on what we can control. A routine, even the smallest one, is the perfect expression of that idea. It's you saying, this I choose, this I own. There's a kind of spiritual discipline in doing the same meaningful actions every day. It's not about perfection, it's about presence. When I made coffee each morning, I stopped multitasking. I stopped scrolling. I treated it like a ceremony. The sound of the beans grinding, the steam rising, the first sip, every step was a moment to reconnect to something deeper. I know that might sound poetic, but when your nervous system is in fight or flight, even a simple ritual like making coffee can bring you back to earth. I also began writing just one page a day, not journaling in the traditional sense, not venting or listing my day. I wrote to clarify, to listen, to understand what was going on inside me before it built into panic. It's wild how often anxiety is just confusion that hasn't been translated yet. Writing helped me name the storm, and once you name it, it loses some of its power. But here's the part that changed me. I stopped treating routine as a punishment. For years, I avoided structure because I thought it would make me feel trapped. I craved freedom. But I didn't realize that chaos isn't freedom. It's a prison made of uncertainty. Structure, when it's self-chosen, is the doorway to peace. I started planning my evenings too. I picked a consistent time to log off work. I stopped pretending I could answer one more email or finish one more task. That urgency was feeding the beast. Instead, I made space to wind down, stretching, dim lights, reading something that didn't stimulate anxiety. I treated sleep as something sacred instead of something optional. And for the first time in a long time, my body started to trust me again. That's really what this is about, building trust with your nervous system. Every time you follow through with a routine, no matter how small, you send a message to your body that it's safe, that you're in charge. It doesn't need to be on high alert all the time. And here's where it goes deeper. There's a philosophical layer to all of this. Routines remind us that we are not just thoughts floating through chaos. We are embodied beings. We live in time, in rhythm, in seasons. Nature itself runs on routine: sunrise, sunset, the phases of the moon, the turning of tides. Why would we be any different? When you align your life with rhythm, you step out of survival mode and into flow. And once you taste that, you never want to go back. Another change I made, one that surprised me the most, was eating meals at the same time every day. Sounds insignificant, right? But the anxious brain thrives on unpredictability. It constantly scans for threats. So, when your body doesn't know when the next meal is coming, it adds to that low-level tension in the background. By simply giving my body something reliable, food at consistent times, I gave my nervous system one less thing to worry about. And slowly, I stopped feeling like I was under attack all the time. That's when I started thinking about discipline in a whole new way. Not as a restriction, but as self-respect. Creating structure wasn't about controlling every minute. It was about choosing peace over chaos. It was about building a life that didn't constantly pull me into reactivity. The more I leaned into structure, the more mental space I got back. I wasn't wasting energy trying to figure out what to do next or battling the guilt of not doing enough. My routines handled that. They became the scaffolding that held up my day so I could focus on the deeper work. Healing, thinking, connecting, being. And I want to be clear, this wasn't about productivity. It wasn't about squeezing more tasks into my schedule or becoming some perfectly optimized machine. It was about restoring a rhythm that my soul had been starved for. When anxiety is running the show, everything feels urgent. You're always chasing, always bracing. Routines slowed me down. They reminded me that most of the danger I imagined wasn't real. That presence was more powerful than panic. That breath and ritual could do more than any distraction ever could. I also began integrating spiritual practices into my day, not in a religious sense, but in a deeply human sense. I lit a candle before writing. I took a deep breath before walking out the door. I practiced gratitude, not the fake kind, but the quiet noticing of small things. A moment of stillness in the middle of noise. The way sunlight hits the wall in the afternoon. The fact that I was still here, still breathing, still trying. That kind of awareness creates a feedback loop. You begin to notice more beauty. You begin to feel more grounded. And that makes anxiety lose its grip, bit by bit. There was one particular day that cemented this for me. I had a meeting I was dreading, one of those high-pressure conversations that would have sent me into a spiral months earlier. But that morning, I still followed my routine. I walked. I stretched. I wrote. I made my coffee slowly. And by the time I walked into that meeting, I wasn't calm because everything was perfect. I was calm because I had already shown myself I could move through discomfort without collapsing. And that's the quiet victory of daily routines. They don't make life easier. They make you steadier, stronger, more rooted. You start realizing that anxiety doesn't have to be a life sentence. It's a messenger. It's telling you something's out of balance. And routines are one of the most powerful ways to restore that balance, not by force, but by rhythm. I think of it like this: chaos will always exist. Life will throw curveballs. But if you have inner gravity, you won't get knocked off course every time the world shakes. And daily habits, tiny, consistent, meaningful, become your gravity. I don't want you to think this was linear for me. It wasn't. Some days I still feel the spiral creeping in. But now I know what to do with it. I don't fight it blindly. I return to what I've built. I return to myself. So if you're listening to this and feeling like you're at war with your mind, I want you to know you are not broken. You are overwhelmed. And overwhelm is not a flaw, it's a signal. It's your system saying, please give me something to trust. Start small. One ritual, one anchor, one act of devotion to your nervous system. You don't have to heal your whole life overnight. You just need a pattern strong enough to begin calming the storm. And here's what I've learned. Ritual creates identity. The more you show up for your peace, the more your mind begins to see you as someone who is capable, grounded, and reliable. Someone doesn't need to panic. That's the real transformation. You don't fight anxiety with logic. You soothe it with safety. And safety is built through repetition, through rhythm, through presence. Your habits are not just about behavior, they are about becoming. So I'll leave you with a question. What is one small routine you can create today that your future self will thank you for? Drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear how you're anchoring yourself, and if this resonated with you, if you felt that quiet war inside, and you're ready to shift from chaos to clarity, then make sure to like this video and subscribe. Because you don't have to walk this path alone. And trust me, there is peace waiting for you on the other side of consistency. Every small action you take is casting a vote for the kind of life you're creating. So keep going. You're stronger than you think. Your mind can become a sanctuary. And it starts one routine at a time.